Kitchens have a way of creating relationships that are hard to explain to people who've never worked in one. You spend long hours together. You get your ass kicked together. You celebrate wins, survive bad services, change jobs, lose jobs, and somewhere along the way, coworkers become friends and sometimes family. But this industry also has a reputation for something else. We're pretty good at asking somebody if they need help on the line. We're not always as good at asking if they need help when the problem has nothing to do with food. Today we've got two friends in the studio, Chef David Reyes and Chef Nelly Buleje. The timing of this conversation matters because Nelly's getting ready to leave Florida and head to North Carolina for the next chapter of his life. So before he goes, I want to talk about friendship in this industry, mental health, camaraderie, the people who recognize when you're not yourself, and what it actually means to show up for another chef. And because this is still walk and talk, we're going to tell some of that story through food. Both chefs are working with Crab Island seafood dip today, but taking it in completely different directions. David is turning Mexican street corn crab dip with shrimp into fried taquitos with salsa falsa, mole, amarillo, salsa macha, charred corn, pickled onion, and cilantro. Nelly is taking Crab Rangoon Dip into a Causa a la Limeña with crab avocado, pickled onion, quail egg, ají, ricoto, and olives. Two chefs, two dishes, two different culinary perspectives, and two friends who are about to find themselves a few states apart. So before we talk about where Nelly is going, let's go back to where this friendship started. David, Nelly, how did you two actually become friends?
Well, I arrived in Tampa first, and I was working at Haiku downtown. We had just opened just after 2019, 2020. And down the street, there was a hotel, and they had gone through, I think, one or two chefs when I first got here. And I heard there was a new chef. I go, here we go. Got to meet the new chef. And, you know, we had done a lot of charity events together. The GM introduced us, and we hit it off. We hit it off for a lot of different reasons. We saw first of all, we're from Chicago, which, you know, you get a lot out of the way once you realize someone's from Chicago. You got a lot of commonality. Yeah, you probably root for the same sports teams, and yeah, you understand a lot of things that happen in big cities. And it developed into a friendship very quickly. You know, we both have Latin backgrounds. You know, we both come from an industry long-standing with really proud stops along the way. Yeah, I think we had great careers and a lot of things to talk about. So,
you know, it's funny the way that I think life is meant to bring everybody and put them in your path, right? When I moved down here 3.5 years ago, my brother-in-law, Charlie, was actually the head bartender at a bar in Chicago called Bar Reyes. And there used to be this young kid that was fresh out of culinary school that would go in there and get his first few drinks. He'd sit down, write in them. And then when I moved down here, my brother-in-law drove me down here from Wisconsin and was like, oh my God, Tampa, you got to meet my boy, Chef David Reyes. He's this amazing chef, blah, 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 blah. And in my head, I'm like, oh, Christ, here we go. Another amazing chef, another I know everything, another internet guy. And it took us 1.5 years before we actually met each other. But Charlie and David go back 20 plus years, if I'm not mistaken.
Back to, when did I get out of the service? 2005. So yeah, 21 years. He was, I'm pretty sure, well, actually I got some drinks from him before I think I turned 21. And that bar was, I don't know, half a block away from my house growing up. So I was very familiar with it. And the irony is that, yeah, they're related.
And just to be clear, the sports teams you're talking about is the Colts, right? Like you guys are Colts fans, big time Indianapolis fans, right?
Don't do that.
No? Oh, that wasn't the one? That's not what show.
Unfortunately, it's the Bears and the Cubs and the Bulls and the Blackhawks and
okay.
Sometimes even the White Sox.
Okay. Hey, I'm not mad at you guys.
And the Fire.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's always next year.
There is always next year.
There's always next year.
We live with hope.
I was happy when the Cubs, no offense, and I have nothing against any of these teams, but when the Cubbies were in that stretch of how many, what was it, 100 years? How long was it?
108 years.
Yeah. I'm all for like the history of it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
200 years, man. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? But no, you guys destroyed it. You ruined it for me.
Yeah, well, in 2005, I was fresh out of the military, and the White Sox made a run into the World Series, and I figured, as a lifelong Cubs fan, that it was going to be the only opportunity I was ever going to have to go to a World Series. So I went to the second home game, which ended up being an epic game. The seats I sat in were the last row in left field, all the way in the top, like the last row, almost the last seat. And those seats have since been removed because they were so dangerous. But yeah, I made it to the World Series in 2000. Well, attended a World Series in 2005. In 2016, I wasn't going to be denied. I went to every game of the World Series.
Before we get into the whole actual show, right?
Yeah.
That I've laid out here for us.
You mean it's not a sports talk show anymore?
No, it's not. But I will tell you this. I think it was like 96 or 97. It's whenever the Marlins went to the World Series. I don't remember.
98, I think.
Maybe. Was it late-ish 90s? I acquired World Series tickets.
Well,
and I was all stoked about it. I was like, "Oh man, this is gonna be great," And then when people found out I had them, I had to sell them. Like it was like, okay, like people were throwing dollars, and I was like, I can watch it on TV, no problem. Boom.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, that's my World Series story.
One last thing about World Series.
Mm-hmm.
When the Cubbies won the World Series in Cleveland, I believe, David, you were at that game, right?
yes, I was.
And I was the chef at Metropolitan at the 9, which was right down the street. And we held their after party for the Cubs. And because it went into so many innings, they actually just came upstairs, grabbed all the food, grabbed the bottles of champagne, and went right back in the bus. So it's funny when you think about the way the world works, right? Like two boys from Chicago.
Did you know each other?
No. We didn't. David and I have a 2-year friendship, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you guys realize that you can actually count on each other?
When you're able to open up and go beyond a normal conversation, an atypical chef conversation, complaining, once you get beyond that point, you know you can trust someone. And like I said, we had so many similarities in our background culturally as well. It was easy to open up and take conversations further and discuss things like mental health, like showing up for yourself. What are you doing? How do you deal with the everyday stress? Encouraging each other to work on ourselves mentally and physically.
All right, so you're a couple of hermanos, right? Okay. See what I did there? Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Chef, we were talking about our pregame here for the show, and you were like, I kind of darted some stuff out there, and I said, what do you want to do? And you said specifically, I want to do something about mental health.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I think it starts with talking about it. I think we have to acknowledge that this is a very exhausting career. You answer to a lot of people. You are both psychiatrist, manager, lawyer. You're a lot of things to a lot of people. You have to show up every day for a lot of people in order for the team to function well. You have to be strong. You have to be even keel. You can't be a roller coaster.
Everything you're saying is 100% accurate, but you had something in mind.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about what it was. And the reason I'm saying it like this is if I'm having a conversation with a potential guest, and you're not really, you guys are part of the furniture now. Like you're here. It's cool. You specifically brought that up. So that's weighing heavy on you. There's something in it that's driving you this week specifically to talk about it. Is that?
Yeah, I think it was kind of brought on by the fact that Nelly decided to go in a different direction and move out of state. We'd spent a lot of time together in the last 2 years, getting to know each other and kind of talking through some of the challenges, not only in the kitchen but life. Because you tend to have to check everything at the door when you go to work. And you focus more on work. And so after hours, when you're done with work and you've gone through all the mental exercises and checked all the boxes and you're good with that, you have to then now deal with life. And, this past year, I've spent a lot of time in design work and concepting. I've actually spent the least amount of time in a kitchen this past year than in the previous 20 some odd years. So I've had a lot of time to kind of reflect and see how to evolve, how to better myself, prepare myself for this next task. And Nelly's been a big part of that. Nelly and a few other chef friends in St. Pete and Tampa, that we've gotten to know each other on a different level. And to be honest, one of the goals I had coming to Tampa was to bring that camaraderie that I had in Chicago and other cities to Tampa, to make sure that we were spending more time outside of work, outside of the kitchen, and sharing ideas and sometimes venting. Just the simple act of talking your problem through helps you. A lot of times as professionals, and we tend to carry a bravado and have walls up protecting our integrity, our intellectual property, that we miss opportunities to really talk.
Support for Walk and Talk Media comes from Crab Island Seafood Dip, creating chef-driven crab dips made with real seafood and bold flavor. Learn more at crabislandseafooddip.com. There is a clique, and I don't mean it in a bad way. There's a group of y'all here in Tampa, and even, I guess you could say it kind of leaks into St. Pete and the surrounding Tampa Bay area.
It definitely does, yeah.
And I think everyone was at our 200th celebration party, all of you.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you look around the room on that day in particular, there was never anybody that didn't talk to another person in that room that had some sort of history. We were all very excited to see each other. It was one of the few opportunities you get during a year.
John and I were talking about this a few weeks back, and that was what was brought up. Even though people are friends, it's still, you're still talking about chefs who are competitors in terms of like restaurants. Altogether, 120 plus people in that room.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anybody being cliquey or attitudes or any of it, man. So what you're saying is so spot on. That's actually a beautiful thing. So in light of what you're saying, to kind of like put an exclamation point on that, a chef is super good at saying, I'm okay. I'm cool.
I got this.
Right? But how does a chef recognize a colleague, a staff member? How do they recognize when somebody's not good?
That's a great question. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think we have to take responsibility to check in on each other, because we're not inherently overtly going to share a lot of what we feel. We have to be strong in our positions. Checking in on each other, sending that just one-off text, and then being open, and looking for people and taking that opportunity at 10:30 p.m. Hey, meet me for a coffee, or meet me for a drink, or meet me for, just a chat. Take that opportunity. I know you're tired. I know you probably got an early day tomorrow, but take the opportunity, make some time, go visit another chef in his kitchen and check on him.
Nelly, when a chef is struggling and you know it, what is showing up for that person actually?
It's a heavy question, and I've been holding back my tears since we started this episode, right? And it becomes the let me listen to you, let me understand what it is that maybe you're looking for, right? It's I'm not just gonna throw all this advice at you. It's getting a real understanding of what it is that we need from one another, and being there for whatever that may be, whether it's that 10:30 p.m. text message, or that 6 a.m. text message, or that middle of the day, hey, you got a minute for a phone call. Really embracing what it is that individual is going for. Before David and I became these great brothers that we are today, I think one of the moments were when I forgot what year it was, the hurricanes came in, and everything was closed. David needed to board up his house, and he's like, I'm like, hey, what are you doing, man? Are you good? Are you safe? And he's like, no, I got to board up the house. I'm going to go to Home Depot, so and so and so. I'm like, you need a hand? And this was the day of?
Yeah.
The day of the hurricane, if I'm not mistaken. And I got in my Jeep. I went over there, and And I gave him a hand.
4 out of 5 hospitality professionals have faced at least one mental health challenge during their career. Stress, burnout, anxiety. These are everyday realities in kitchens, dining rooms, and bars across North America. The Burnt Chef Project North America is here to change that. They provide free, anonymous support, direct care, training, and self-care resources designed specifically for chefs, servers, and hospitality staff. From therapy services to educational modules, they're answering the call for help in one of the toughest industries. It can't be done alone. Your financial support makes this possible, ensuring that every hospitality professional has access to the tools they need to thrive. Join the movement in breaking the stigma. Email uscanada@theburntchefproject.com for donation details and mailing information, or learn more about the mission at theburntchefproject.com.
I don't know what was going on in David's personal life, what was going on anywhere, but I went there. I showed up for him. I think that when you look at it, when you say, what does it mean to show up, right? It's in so many facets, and there's nothing too minute or anything too large that doesn't count for something and really helps the other individual realize that they have someone else there for them.
So I'll add to that. During that time, it was one of probably the most difficult times of my life. I was dealing with a heavy loss after a few years that I really hadn't dealt with yet. And I was getting a divorce. And then we had 2 hurricanes come through. Like, it was tough. It was really fucking tough. And so showing up meant a lot.
I would have bet money that today we were going to be hooting and hollering. I literally believed I was going to have to rein you 2 in. Like, this is important stuff.
Yeah.
It's been heavy here the last month on this show. I think this is probably the healthiest thing possible. What I've been learning is having these conversations like this.
Yeah.
It's good for people. I'm not going to get into the off-air talk that I've had with some of the other chefs that have been through. But every one of them was like, I can't believe I did that, and I feel really good that they shared, in other words.
Sure. The funny thing about that instant is, what was it? The very next hurricane that came through town like a week or so later. He had a lot of cooks that were out.
This is 2024 we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had no cooks. I was working from 5 a.m. till 1 a.m. because we were the only hotel that was open.
You were still on
hotel
right?
floor.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he gives me a call. He needs help. I show up.
Were you the only one?
We cooked dinner and breakfast with just, I think, a server became a cook that day. We had a dishwasher doing fries. Yeah.
Nelly, when you called and you were like, actually you sent me a note and you were like, hey man, I got a good idea, I think, for an episode. And we finally got on a call. And then you were like, this is how I heard it, right? That's not what it is. Especially today, it's not what it is at all. But you're like, all right, let me tell you something. I've got Chef Joe. I've got Chef David. It's me. It's gonna be. It's like that. I was like, okay, wait a second. How am I gonna control this? Like, how is this gonna be executed? But then when we got to talking and we realized that Joe couldn't make it, and you were like, no, it's still gonna be me and David. I was like, okay. And then we started a little group chat. We started talking, and Dave hits with the mental health question. And then I started like, okay, wait a minute. This is going to start shaping. I didn't realize that it was going to be this today. Truth be told. Have we gotten really good at mental health awareness, or is it something else? Have we just come to a place where we're just comfortable talking about it now?
I don't think we've gotten really, really good at it, right? I think that relationships have started to change in the industry, right? And as silly as it sounds, after COVID-19, it kind of shaped the way even us in the industry are, right? I don't want to say it softened us, but it gave us a complete different perspective that I feel we didn't have prior to that. And I think that as that's happened, it's shaped how our relationships have become much more human versus just the professional aspect of it, right? Much more personable. And when that happens, it gives you the ability and vulnerability to be able to be honest with your colleagues, with your friends. And I think that that's what we're getting better at, just being able to talk a little bit more about it. The awareness is there. Everyone says this, everyone says that. But if you don't feel that comfort with someone, you're still not gonna speak up that much, right? And I really think that this last generation that's joining the industry and has joined the industry is helping that, because they're much better at it than us. They have the full awareness of it, right? They understand that it's okay. I mean, if I told my mom that I was feeling depressed, she'd be like, well, turn the light on and get outside. You need vitamin D. You're not depressed. That doesn't exist in this household. I think we're learning to evolve with that, right?
But hold on a minute. What's going on here right now wouldn't have happened 20 years ago. There's no way. There isn't a chance that. And by the way, so there's nothing soft about any of this. I'm going to talk for you guys. So it's not about being a punk or, punking out or whatever. It's just realizing that you can't just always hold everything in and be an island. Like you can't live like that. And that goes for any industry. You just can't do that. And then when you're talking about like high pressure work, the whole restaurant is high pressure. Yeah, yes, chefs, and yes, the line. But the whole restaurant, the entire operation is a pressure cooker. It's all connected, right?
Right.
Walk and Talk Media is proudly supported by Rack Porcelain USA, creating durable, beautifully designed tableware for chefs and hospitality professionals. Learn more at rackporcelain.com. So at the end of the day, when you can count on somebody, like you two are really going to miss each other. Like this is a serious friendship.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you guys are boys, but I didn't, it's a shame. It's sad, actually.
And I think that maybe why one of the other reasons that it was easy for David to instantly say, let's talk about mental awareness, it's because we both met each other at, I'm 42 years old, and I love Tampa. I love the time I've spent here in Tampa. It's been the best time, right? And I'll be back. But I will tell you that these last 3.5 years in Tampa have probably been the most emotionally and mentally challenging years I've ever had in my life, right? I went through separation for the first time in my life. The first time I was married, I was 17 years old, and I've been raising kids in a family since I was 17 in 2 past marriages. So I've been a dad since I was 17 years old. For the first time in my life, I had none of that. All of my family's back in Chicago. I'm dealing with a complete different culture down here, but I love it, so I don't want to leave. But I'm going through all of those challenges. For the first time in my life, I didn't know what my purpose was. My purpose has always been be a dad, be a good brother, be a good husband. And in 22 years, when that's gone, you have no idea of who you are as an individual. You're struggling in the industry. Why am I working so hard? What am I doing? And then you get fortunate to meet somebody like David, somebody like Joe, who I originally wanted to be here with us as well, right? And they give you the confidence and trust to be able to be there for one another and walk you through it, right? And this for me, and the reason I said I wanted to do this with these guys was because I've been in the industry for 20 plus years. I've never left a city and said I'm leaving 3 friends behind. In the first podcast I did, my boy Ronnie was here. David's here today, and Joe. Man, I'm fortunate as hell, man, to be able to walk away from Tampa after 3.5 years and say that I got guys that I'm genuinely gonna miss. You know what I mean? Because in one way or another, they all helped me get through a very emotional and challenging part of my life that I was in, and they've helped make me a better person. And that's why I was so adamant about wanting these guys. And this is what I want. I'm like, hey, man, this is the idea, but back to why it's when David said, I think mental health is because we bonded not over the work trauma, right? We bonded over our personal situations. And we've helped each other and continue to help each other every day be better. David was just at the house on Saturday with Jack is the girl that Jack is the reason I'm moving to North Carolina, right? One of the main reasons, right? It's who I fell in love with, who I'm with. She came down to visit. David was there. We were celebrating her birthday. And I made a joke about it earlier, but I think we spent 30 minutes on the couch, maybe just in tears, the way we are right now, having conversation. Because it's not every day you get the opportunity to run into people and meet people and open up and have people be so inspirational in your life and be able to. I've had phone calls with David and Joe and Ronnie that I haven't had with my family. I think that's why this is such an important topic, right? Because we need to be able to count on each other so much more and be able to be there for one another, and not just physically, professionally, emotionally, all those things. You know, David started a chat with first it was just 3 of us chefs. It was him, myself, and Joe. And it was an inspirational chat between us where we all talked a bunch of baloney. We spent funny stuff to one another. And then it became, you know, Joe went through some tough times as well. We're all going through it. We've all been through it over the last 3 years. David did, and it was there. Then David added, if I'm not mistaken, was it Lee?
Yeah. You know, it became a chat where he would chime in, early morning and say something inspirational that was relative to the culinary field. And I think we all drew a little bit from it.
It's one thing to have friends, and it's one thing to have brothers, and it's also one thing to have, quote unquote, the brother when they're in the same industry. Because you can really dial in to the challenges that we face. When you know the other person physically, emotionally, passionately understands what you're feeling, I don't know. That's hard to replace.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was very fortunate to have a very unique mentor back in Chicago. She's also a chef. She was my first culinary school instructor. We met 21 years ago. And, you know, she's been a mentor to me in life. Oddly enough, she went through a separation right before I did. So it's like everybody's kind of finding this new chapter in their lives. And, she helped me realize how important it was to take care of myself mentally, and you're never a finished product. I think that was an epiphany for me, was realizing there was no finish line to what you needed to do to help yourself get through tough times, including opening a restaurant. It's all going to be very challenging, and the better suited you are and the work you put in, the better off you're going to be.
What's your interpretation of why restaurant people put themselves through the ringer? Why they do the hours that they do, and just to live that chaos.
I think we become fixated with the end result, and it's a no matter what, the end result is going to happen. We're going to be, put out great food on time. And sometimes we just have to show up that much earlier and work that much harder, but we're never going to be defeated.
But do accountants do this? Does a plumber, I've had individuals say to me over the years, like, it's just food. It's just a waiter, a server. It's just flipping burgers. It's just that. It's putting food on a plate. And I'm like, but no, it's timing. It's your time. It's every guest in the building's time. It's all of that stuff matters. And nobody, unless you did it, like to go to a table, like if you were talking in front of the house, you go to a table and you have to tell somebody what you want doesn't exist today. Sorry. No, that's your income.
Yeah.
And that trickles into the other tables. You guys in the back have a whole nother set of challenges, but the printer, like all of it, it's a lot of freaking pressure.
It is. It is a trade. At the end of the day, it's still a trade. But it's a trade that involves some level of artistry. The higher the echelon, the higher the factor of artistry plays in. So you're putting yourself out there. Every dish you put out there is an interpretation of who you are and what you've done and how well you can do it. So you try not to take things personally. I always like to go to tables and tell people how proud I am that I don't take myself seriously, but I take the food seriously. So hopefully it'll show. But yeah, it's a very challenging thing. You go home, you're judged online, you're judged in person. Sometimes you judge yourself, and it can amount out to be a lot of pressure if you allow it to be. And so, that's why I think talking about that level of awareness is really important in this industry, because a lot of us don't, we're taught a lot of things, but not that.
Did you guys expect this vibe today?
A little bit.
Did you?
Yeah, I think,
I'm the only one blindsided here.
well, it's a surprise.
Surprise.
I anticipated to be a little bit of this vibe, right? But I definitely thought we were going to be much more like when we were cooking, right? And I think that's a perfect example of why it's so simple in our industry to put this portion to the side.
This episode is brought to you by Trimark, the largest food service design, equipment, and supplies provider in North America. Trimark works directly with operators, bringing design-build expertise, supply sourcing strength, project management, installation, and servicing together to power smarter hospitality kitchens. Learn more at trimarkusa.com.
Because we spend 10, 12 hours in the, you asked why do we work so hard? Why do we go in every day and do this? And I think that for a lot of us, right? A lot of us in the industry, especially in the kitchen, we've all been through something a little different. You know what I mean? We're the misfits that fall into a certain place, right? And we've experienced something in life, and I think a lot of the reason a lot of us stay in there isn't only because of the camaraderie that we build with one another, even though that's huge, right? That's huge. Every day somebody takes a turn making family meal. A lot of people don't have that at home. We bring that in amongst the chaos. We get to control as much chaos as controlled chaos as it is. We can control what's happening in that chaos. When that 10-hour shift is done and service is over, you can look down and be like, you know what, I'm a badass. I knocked that out tonight. Or that guy next to me, or David on the line next to me shot over and gave me a hand, and we banged it out together. So as much chaos as it is, it's such controlled chaos when it's done right that a lot of people don't even have that outside in their personal lives. So when you go in and you get to do that and you can succeed and you can look down and know that my job was to produce these plates tonight and I did them perfect every time, there's something about that makes you say, I'm going back tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. The opportunity to do it all over again every day, right? Take today's mistakes and turn them into tomorrow's victories. I think in the last 2 years in particular, I've also evolved the way I lead a kitchen, through some of that mental clarity, and mental and social awareness. I've evolved the culture of my kitchen, with that in mind, being mindful of each other. We're not just robots showing up to work. You have to become a family, and, through that kind of family oriented mentality, you create a space where, it's okay to have a bad day. It's tough if you're going to have 2 bad days together back to back, but the fact that is, someone's going to have a bad day today. So, showing up matters for other people, especially on your team. So you try to teach that, you try to make room for people to go to their kids' birthday parties, even if it's on a Friday, I think taking that to another level is one of the keys to success in a modern restaurant mentality and culture. And, I've said this many times, you're often not going to be able to pay someone what you think they're worth. You won't pay them what they think they're worth. What else is there for them to be able to show up every day and want to grind it out with you, and put out beautiful artistry on the plate?
I gotta tell you, as I'm hearing you, and you, Chef, also, Nelly, And I'm just thinking back to like all of the, in my 25 years of working with chefs and other salespeople and sales teams and all of that. And you hear, and this isn't a bad thing, what I'm going to say. Salespeople look at chefs like this, like how a chef wants to be seen. Armor, rough exterior, tough. And that's the perception. But damn, like if I were still on that side of it, and I had a team, I would want them to hear this conversation, because it just shows that, like, just because you might not have time during the week to like sit with somebody, or you had to turn somebody your way or whatever, it's not like you're being assholes. You guys are just people dealing with the things that people deal with. It's a little off track of what this conversation is, but like, because of my tenure in that, that's what keeps coming to mind. Like, this is insightful.
I hope so.
No, not I hope so. It's insightful.
Mm-hmm.
When you were at Haiku,
Yeah.
I would have never, and we obviously over the years, forget back then, but we've gotten friendly and talked, but back then we didn't know each other.
No.
And you were as hard exteriored as anybody else. Would have never, ever looked at you and thought that like this was even a possible thing.
Sure.
I'm saying this because I think it's important that people understand that the industry is changing. Look at this. It's changing.
Yeah, I think it has to. To Nelly's point, because the average employee is changing. They're much more emotionally aware. You have.
Hey, but it's not. But hold on, I'm not trying to cut you. Mm-hmm. You're not acting like this because employees are acting a different way. That can't be it.
No,
I think this is your self-reflection over years, isn't it?
For sure. Yeah. No, this is getting better at dealing with the pressure and being honest with yourself, and being honest with people around you. And hopefully that encourages other people to be honest with themselves and people around them. And, struggling in silence is a very difficult thing to do. Makes everything much more challenging.
I think this is really one of the, every episode I really believe is like a really good episode. Do you know what I mean? I feel that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But this is something different. You guys are sharing something different. And it's not just a matter of like, hey, I have struggles and I got to the other side. Freaking, hey, awesome. Or, hey, there's all these challenges and what do I do? Okay, let's figure it out. You guys are showing the guts, the inside of a kitchen right here on the table.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like I just said this last week. You're going to help people with this. Like, this is going to help somebody, and I just think that's really beautiful. I think that's so awesome. I don't know what changed with the programming, with the show, but it's morphed into this. And I feel like the episodes are so powerful. They've gotten like this.
Yeah.
I'm happy. John, how many times have we had a conversation of like, man, it would be great if what we're doing can make differences, and not just like, hey, what's your favorite dish? What do you like to cook, chef?
Yeah.
No. Like, no. Man, I'm, thank you both for sharing.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm not trying to, I feel, I'm not, I don't know. I got to hear myself later when I do this editing. But like, I can't tell you enough how important it is that you're here.
I appreciate it. And you know, you've given a lot of people a voice, an opportunity to share an idea, a feeling, a story, you know, and I think that's super valuable. Being at your 200th episode celebration was an honor, you know, and again, looking around at the room, I felt I could talk to anybody in that room, even people I had never met before. You knew that they were good people because they were there celebrating you. And, you know, it was meaningful for everyone to have had a voice at some point. And, you know, I think taking the opportunity to acknowledge some of the underbelly of this industry and acknowledging that it is difficult and acknowledging that sometimes you do have to go out there and look for some help and or show up for someone else, you know.
Support for Walk and Talk Media comes from Metro Food Service Solutions, trusted by kitchens that need storage and workflow that actually does the job. Learn more at metro.com.
I think that's important if you're going to stay in this industry. I think that one of the things that helped me along the way was coming across this quote from Carl Jung, the philosopher. He said, life begins at 40. Everything before that is just practice. So I'm like, all right, let's start life again, you know?
I think I dropped the ball yesterday a little bit. Channel 8, WFLA.
Yeah, saw you.
Yeah, daytime. They reached out and, you know, they wanted to put together a segment that had Chef Alicia on it because they saw the episode. I was over the moon. I was like, wow, really? That's the coolest thing ever. And, you know, I think it went well. Like, it's going to air tomorrow. But when they're asking the questions, and I was like, I did mention, like, hey, it's the storytell. It's about the business, the industry. I don't think I captured this right here in my explanation. They would have asked me that today. It would have been this. This is what it's about.
You're giving a lot of people the opportunity to share something super important. So don't sell yourself short. I've certainly appreciated being on here. There's sometimes, you know, when there's been a few times where I've had cooks in restaurants that I'm not staying in. I'm consulting in, and they tend to have a lot of questions. And when they haven't met a chef that's well traveled or has a long history and does it for a living to the degree that I do, when they have enough questions, I'll just give them a link to your podcast, the one I did, the first one I did, and I go, this will tell you everything.
I can't ask for more than that.
Right? There you go.
Nelly, what are you chasing in North Carolina?
My personal happiness. It's and it comes in many ways. When I find myself cooking today, you know, even, you know, doing a Causa Limeña, the Peruvian dish that I put out today was the jalapeno popper crab dip that we were able to use. And I think that's why when David and I and you we were filming and we're in the kitchen, we're just laughing, right? I love the kitchen. I love learning, and that's a big part of my happiness. The last 20 plus years in the industry, I've made that my number one focus is my happiness. With this move, you know, I get to continue to attain that, but I also I've found personal happiness. Right, I've found what I feel is home and what I feel is peace in my heart, and you know, and I'm moving up there as well. You know, to be with somebody. You know, it's exciting, right? I've been in the industry for 20 plus years. I did barbecue 18, 20 years ago, right? But now I'm you know, super grateful for the opportunities I've had here in Tampa. Super grateful for my time at Timpano with Tavistock Restaurant Collection. And if I wouldn't have fallen in love, I probably wouldn't be moving to Raleigh, North Carolina, and onto this next opportunity that I have. And I'm going to be moving to Midwood Smokehouse in Raleigh, North Carolina. Learn from the best pitmasters, do barbecue, I'm gonna not only be the executive chef. I'm not only gonna be the chef, but I'm also gonna be the general manager of the restaurant as well. So I'll be back on doing a little bit of not a little bit, doing a whole lot of front of the house action, and I love it, right? And I love it, and I get excited about it because I love communicating with people, right? I love talking to the guest. That's what my next step is, right? It's my personal happiness that I put an emphasis on this time.
All right, so you left for a great reason, right? If you're leaving for love, you know what I mean? You've got my blessing. Because, every time somebody wants to leave, like lately everybody's leaving, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? But you start getting friendly with people, and they're like, yeah, I'm slid. Well, peace, deuces.
I'll be back, though. I'll be back.
Well, before you come back, John, Barbecue John, sounds like we're going to have to do a special trip to North Carolina. John is, he is Mr. Barbecue. He travels for barbecue, like no matter where it is.
I love that. Yeah, you guys are definitely gonna have to come up. It's awesome. Let me tell you. I mean, it is a beautiful smoker. It's Southern style barbecue that we do there. The restaurant, if I'm not mistaken, the original restaurant just celebrated 15 years in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's about 6 restaurants of the Midwood Smokehouse throughout all of North Carolina, and also in South Carolina, and I believe in Georgia there's one as well, if I'm not mistaken. So, you guys, thank you so much for having me on. The times you've had me on here, it's been amazing. I think your platform is phenomenal, and that's why when I knew that I was heading out of Tampa, I wanted to figure out a way to, how do we do it together with you, with the team, with David. David, thanks once again for coming out here and being here with me today. And Joe, when you hear this, brother, I'm really grateful for how Tampa has opened its arms to me, and the culinary community as well, right? And great guys and friends the way that I have now with all of you guys as well.
David, so what are you doing? You have 3 different concepts that you're rolling in right now. What's going on?
Yeah, really exciting. We took the building that used to house the Hall on Franklin, which was kind of a food hall. And it's about 20,000 square feet, and we divided it up into 3 concepts. The first concept is Hail Mary. It's a sports lounge, very chef-oriented sports bar. We wanted to answer the question, where do I go to watch the game and still have some amazing food that doesn't necessarily have to be fried? So it has very, very unique design features that I know we're going to win a lot of awards for. And then Uno Mas is a Mexico City style taqueria that has a completely wood-fired kitchen in the execution of the short list of tacos that it will have. Somewhere in the taqueria is an entrance to a speakeasy that'll also feature a curated menu of food. And then Boogie Heights is a retro nightclub, a bar that will bring the neighborhood together and let it boogie.
I will be there.
Every step of the way, every opening, I expect you to see you. John, definitely.
Well, before we split, we still have to talk about food, right? And that was well said, and thank you for that. I was talking to Tom from Crab Island Seafood, and I was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a little bit of a curveball for these 2. Because I know they're going to come in with, on their high horses, look what I'm going to make because I make it. I know what I'm doing. And I'm like, all right, look, here's the curve. Use some of this dip because you can cook with it. It's made with cream cheese base, right? Were you mad at me, or was this like something kind of cool?
I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it's a challenge. How are you going to use an already established flavor? And I think it was fun to get creative and elevate the product to a different degree. And I think Tom had fun watching us, play with his food.
So look, I get it. Not everybody wants to use pre-made products in their from scratch stuff, but I think it's a little easier to swallow, so to speak, when you know that the product is made by other chefs.
Yeah,
right. Makes it a little bit more palatable. Which is, of course, is the case with those guys. I do want to thank Aaron from Testo He came out to chill with us. I'm glad y'all got to meet him in person. He's a great help. He's a great guy. And I'm glad he made it in. Marvin from Cahaba Club, with the microgreens that he supplies for us. It was a really great day today. We did really cool stuff today. You guys have heard me talk about By the Chef Pizza now for at least a few months. Peter Garces over there, Chef Peter, terrific dude. We tell him, hey, we got a bunch of chefs coming. You want to, throw some food down. How freaking good is this pizza?
That pizza break was pretty good.
It was awesome.
Like for real. Like I'm not twisted. Like there's, you'll see the video. There's nothing pointed at the heads. This is no arms twisting. That was legit delicious freaking pizza.
Yeah.
100%. Man, look, I'm on a diet. I'm the thinnest I've been in 12 years. I'm out down, if I'm not mistaken, 3 pieces of pizza, and that's after I ate my avocado with pumpkin seeds and a little cilantro on it, let me tell you. And it is delicious pizza, man. It's very well done. The sauce has a little sweetness to it that makes it different, right? That's what stood out for me. The dough has a nice chew to it, right? It was awesome. It was very unexpected, and it was very well done.
This session of Walk and Talk Media is made possible by Citrus America, delivering fresh Florida citrus and juice solutions to food service professionals nationwide. Learn more at citrusamerica.com. Every time that pizza's here in the studio, makes me smile. Let's talk your dishes real quick. What'd you do today?
So I took a crab spread with Mexican street style corn and put it into a sort of flour tortilla taquito with shrimp. I made a salsa falsa, which is basically kind of like a fake avocado sauce. And that's why it's salsa falsa. But it mimics the earthy flavors of an avocado salsa. And then I made a quick mole amarillo, which is a yellow mole.
I didn't say it like that in the monologue, by the way.
You did great. I was very impressed.
Not bad, right?
Not bad.
Okay.
And then, try to elevate the dish, giving it an interesting presentation. And I think that was achieved.
My in-laws, of course, are Latin. Nobody was home when I was doing this. I had no one to ask. I was left to my own devices.
You did well.
Yeah.
The Amarillo was perfect.
Gracias. Adios mío. Okay. And you, chef?
I thought it was fun, right? I had to look at it, right, and think to myself, how am I going to do something? And I instantly went to, you hear crab salad, you think of that, right? I've done crab dips everywhere I've been. And when I spent my time in South Carolina and in the Midwest, and I thought about a traditional Peruvian dish, right, which is called Causa Limeña, which is like a cold potato mashed salad with either traditionally served with like chicken salad or tuna salad. It has a little bit of avocado. It has hard-boiled eggs and olives on it. And I was like, this is perfect. Let's take this beautiful crab with cheese that, cheese, potatoes, they're always delicious, right? Now we're in Tampa or Peru, wherever we want to look at it, right, where the dish derives from. How do we continue to use it, make it a little lighter, make it funner? And it worked out perfect, right? With that beautiful little onion ceviche that went right over the top of it, the ají amarillo and the ricoto aioli right around it, right? Just, fun dish to have on any summer day.
I think you killed it on the presentation.
No, both of you guys did a terrific job. Today was just like overwhelming with food. It was just, dude, I'm living my best life. You know what I mean? My doctor doesn't think so, but I'm living my best life. Conceivably, today might be the last time you guys cook together for a while.
Yeah.
It's special that it happened here. I didn't think about that till just now.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, what do you want to say to one another before we leave the show today?
I want to take the opportunity to remind him he owes me $50.
Like a true friend.
That's true friendship.
And I'm going to miss him. I
don't have anything to say to him anymore. See him when I see him, my man. No, man, it's, thank you for everything. And I know that our friendship's going to continue. And I look forward to seeing you in North Carolina, come up and visit. And Obviously when we come back and visit Jack, his family's all down here. So we'll definitely be back in Tampa quite often. But a thank you isn't enough to suffice who you are and what you've been for me over the last few years, brother.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you and what you've meant to me in some of the hardest times.
Everybody did really fantastic today. Thank you, really, for sharing that. For me, that's a blessing. For this show, and what we do, this is what it is, man. This is the restaurant life. This is the friendships made in this industry, and that's awesome. I did want to thank Dina Moore, Maggie, Farron, and the whole crew over at Daytime for having Felicia and I come out to the studio. That was just an amazing experience, and it's what a freaking honor that was. Will Brown is here. Thank you for coming out, Will. John, as always, photography is spot on. And man, I don't want to leave this like so somber. You two guys are awesome. And we're coming up to North Carolina. We're all going to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to come check you out. It's going to be badass. How do we find you guys?
Chef David Reyes on Instagram.
On Instagram at Chef Nelly B.
We are out.